The first thing we noticed wasn't the open front door. It was the light moving inside the cabin. Even now, years later, that's the image that comes back to me first. Not what we eventually found, not the police cars, not the weeks afterward when none of us wanted to talk about what happened. Just a lonely flashlight drifting from room to room inside a house that should have been completely empty. The incident happened in August of 2013. I was 25 years old at the time, and 4 of my closest friends and I were heading from Massachusetts to a small vacation home tucked away in the woods of rural New Hampshire. The cabin belonged to my friend Johnny. His grandparents had owned the property for years, using it as their private escape from city life before they passed away. Johnny had inherited the place and refused to sell it, wanting to keep it in the family. It had been nearly a year since he'd last visited. The property sat deep in the countryside, surrounded by forests and dirt trails. It was perfect for hunting, skiing in the winter, off-roading, paintball, or simply getting away from crowded streets and constant noise. We'd been looking forward to the trip for weeks. Unfortunately, our day started later than planned. We didn't leave Massachusetts until around 3 in the afternoon, and between grabbing food, stopping for gas, and taking a few breaks, the drive stretched much longer than expected. By the time we reached the final stretch of back roads, the sun was already sinking behind the trees. The farther we drove, the quieter everything became. Houses disappeared. Streetlights became rare. The road narrowed into long, winding strips of cracked pavement bordered by endless woods. Every few minutes, the headlights caught the reflective eyes of deer standing just inside the tree line before they disappeared into darkness. No one said much anymore. It was around 7:30 when Johnny finally turned onto the dirt road leading to the cabin. Dust rose behind the truck as we rolled toward the clearing. Then Johnny slammed on the brakes so hard that everyone lurched forward. "Oh my God!" His voice was barely above a whisper. We followed his stare. The front door of the cabin stood wide open. A narrow beam of light swept slowly across one of the front windows from inside. Someone was already in the house. For a few seconds, nobody inside the truck moved. The only sound was the engine idling beneath us and the faint chorus of crickets rising from the surrounding woods. The flashlight inside the cabin drifted across another window, then disappeared into the darkness as if whoever was holding it had stepped into another room. "Dude, we need to leave," Maddie said quietly. I agreed. Nothing about the situation made sense. The cabin hadn't been visited in nearly a year. There shouldn't have been anyone there, especially after dark. Whoever was inside had broken into a remote house miles away from the nearest town, and there was no way of knowing if they were armed. To our surprise, Johnny reacted differently. Instead of backing out onto the dirt road, he gripped the steering wheel, pressed the gas pedal, and drove straight toward the cabin. Gravel sprayed beneath the tires as he stopped only a few yards from the porch. Then he leaned on the horn. The deafening blast echoed through the trees for what felt like forever. Nearly 10 seconds passed before he finally released it. The moving flashlight instantly vanished. Now the cabin was completely dark. The front door remained open, but whoever had been inside wasn't showing themselves anymore. Johnny took a deep breath, opened his door, and climbed out. "All right," he said firmly. "Let's go." Before anyone could argue, he grabbed a flashlight from the truck and marched toward the porch. None of us wanted to be left behind, so we followed. The wooden steps groaned beneath our feet as Johnny pushed through the open doorway. The cabin smelled stale from months of sitting empty. There was no electricity yet, so every room was swallowed in darkness. Our phone flashlights barely cut through the blackness. "Who's in here?" Johnny shouted. His voice bounced off the walls before disappearing into silence. No answer. He yelled again, louder this time, daring whoever had broken into the house to come out. Still nothing. Johnny quickly organized us. He and Maddie would search the basement while Alec, Amir, and I cleared the main floor. We split up without another word. Every creaking floorboard sounded unnaturally loud. Every doorway looked like it could hide someone. With each room we checked, the silence became heavier, making it feel less like we were searching the house, and more like the house was waiting for us. I headed toward the master bedroom at the far end of the cabin while Alec disappeared into the kitchen and Amir checked a small guest bedroom and the bathroom. We spread out just enough that I could no longer see them, though I could still hear the occasional creak of the old wooden floor beneath their feet. The deeper I walked into the house, the colder it seemed to become. My phone's flashlight barely reached the corners of the room. Dust floated through the narrow beam, and every piece of furniture cast long, distorted shadows against the walls. The silence was overwhelming. Even the insects outside seemed to have stopped making noise. The bedroom looked untouched. The bed sat exactly where it should have been. An old dresser stood against one wall. Nothing appeared disturbed, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. My eyes settled on a large sliding closet. It was closed. For several seconds, I simply stared at it. My heart pounded so loudly that I could hear it in my ears. Every instinct told me not to open that door, but if someone was hiding inside the cabin, I couldn't ignore it. I took a slow step forward, then another. My hand trembled as I reached toward the closet handle. Just before my fingers touched it, a terrifying scream exploded from somewhere below the floor. It was Johnny. Almost instantly, Maddie screamed too. The sound echoed up from the basement with such panic that every hair on my body stood on end. I spun toward the bedroom door, ready to run downstairs. Before I could move, the closet door slammed open with incredible force. Someone burst out. A pair of arms wrapped around me from behind before I even had time to react. The stranger locked me in a crushing hold, pinning my arms against my sides. I fought desperately, yelling as loudly as I could while trying to break free, but the grip only tightened. My shout carried through the cabin. Within seconds, Alec and Amir came sprinting toward the bedroom. The moment they saw what was happening, they tackled the man off me. The struggle lasted only a few frantic moments before the intruder broke free, shoved past all of us, and sprinted through the hallway toward the front door. By the time we reached the porch, he had already disappeared into the darkness surrounding the cabin. The forest had swallowed him whole. For a brief moment, we stood frozen on the porch, staring into the black wall of trees where the man had vanished. The forest stretched endlessly in every direction. There were no streetlights, no neighboring houses, and no sound except our own heavy breathing. Chasing him into the darkness would have been pointless. He knew the woods far better than we did, or at least that was how it felt. Then we remembered the screams. Johnny and Maddie were still downstairs. Without saying a word, we turned and rushed back into the cabin. Our footsteps pounded across the old wooden floor as we raced toward the basement door. My chest tightened with every step, expecting another attacker to be waiting below. Johnny and Maddie stood at the bottom of the stairs, completely motionless. Neither of them spoke. Their faces had lost all color. As we descended, an overpowering odor hit us before we could see anything. It was thick, sour, and unmistakably the smell of death. Instinctively, I covered my nose, but it did nothing to block the stench filling the cramped basement. Then my flashlight found the floor. I wish it hadn't. Lying on the cold concrete were two bodies. The scene was far worse than anything I had ever imagined possible. Blood stained the basement floor, and the victims had suffered horrific injuries. I couldn't process what I was looking at. My mind refused to accept that what was in front of us was real. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sounds were our uneven breaths and the faint hum of insects outside filtering through the basement windows. It suddenly became horrifyingly clear why someone had been hiding inside the cabin. We weren't dealing with a simple trespasser. Whoever had grabbed me in that bedroom had been hiding only a short distance from the scene of a brutal double homicide. The realization shattered whatever composure we had left. Johnny yelled for everyone to get out. None of us argued. We turned and bolted up the stairs, through the dark cabin, and out the front door as fast as we could, desperate to put as much distance as possible between ourselves and that basement before the man hiding in the woods decided to come back. Once we reached the truck, none of us felt safe enough to stop moving. We scanned the tree line in every direction, half expecting the man who had attacked me to emerge from the darkness at any moment. Every shadow between the trees looked like it could be hiding someone, but the forest remained silent. For a few minutes, we searched the area around the cabin, hoping to catch a glimpse of the intruder before he disappeared for good. It didn't take long to realize how hopeless that was. The property was surrounded by dense woods that stretched for miles, and night had completely settled over the countryside. Whoever he was, he had vanished into the darkness without leaving a trace. Johnny immediately contacted the authorities. Before long, the quiet property was overwhelmed by flashing emergency lights. Sheriff's deputies secured the area with police tape while investigators moved carefully through the cabin, photographing every room and collecting evidence. Officers searched the surrounding woods, dusted surfaces for fingerprints, and documented everything they could find. The peaceful getaway cabin had become the center of a major homicide investigation. As investigators worked through the night, the victims were eventually identified as 2 Indian barbershop workers. Beyond that, very little information ever reached us. To this day, I don't know who the man was that attacked me inside that bedroom or whether he was ever caught. As far as I know, the motive behind the murders has never been explained to us. Johnny may know more than I do, but I've never wanted to invade his privacy by asking questions he clearly wasn't ready to answer. When we finally returned home, something had changed between all 5 of us. For nearly a week, none of us spoke. It wasn't because we were angry with one another. We simply couldn't find the words. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that closet door flying open, felt the stranger's arms locking around me, and remembered the unbearable smell waiting in the basement below. Time eventually allowed us to move forward, but it never erased that night. What was supposed to be a quiet weekend escape into the New Hampshire wilderness became the most terrifying experience of our lives. A reminder that sometimes the greatest horrors aren't legends hiding in the woods. Sometimes they're frighteningly real.